I give the CIA a total credit for sponsoring and initiating the entire consciousness movement, counterculture events of the 1960s.
Welcome back to Rise to Liberty podcast. We have a very, very awesome show for you guys today. Today's guest is William Ramsey of William Ramsey Investigates podcast. He's an attorney, author, researcher, many wonderful things. What we will be covering is what he wrote about in Abomination, which is the West Memphis Three. So on that, how are you doing today, William?
Doing well. Thanks for inviting me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, of course. You know, I think this is an incredibly important topic, and I think this case actually really like permeates throughout culture, even though it doesn't quite seem like it. I think it's had a lot of effect on the way that people act towards these cases and kind of just true crime in general. And you know, they've just completely lied about this thing from beginning to end. And
Sure
it just irks me. So this is one of the things I wanted to do to get into this case, and I couldn't think of anyone better. So this is why we're here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me back. And I think you're absolutely right. It's permeated the culture, influenced the interpretation of criminal acts. It's involved a lot of people who've had a very intense influence on true crime culture, such as John Douglas, who I recently found out worked for the JonBenet Ramsey family, which I found to be extremely disturbing, because he worked for the West Memphis Three as well.
Right. Yeah, I did know that. Which
and
is
there's like a chapter in my book
incredibly damning.
He gave kind of the imprimatur of the FBI to these guys, and to such an extent that some of the members of the family of the victims, the three boys, Branch, Byers, and Moore, that they changed their minds about the outcome, and that was because of him. And he took credit for it himself. That's not my opinion. That's him taking credit in his book, Law and Disorder.
Right. Who is John Douglas, for those who don't know?
Well, he's known in the kind of maybe in the community as like Mindhunter, so he influenced that. He was like one of the original FBI profilers, and he did interview a lot of serial killers, but he's also he retired and then used his kind of experience to get involved in cases. And one of them was Green River, and somebody told me his Green River analysis wasn't very good. And then he got involved in the West Memphis Three and JonBenet. I don't know how much he was paid. I do know that the West Memphis Three fund to get them out of jail rose to such an extent. It was in not 7 figures, 8 figures, $10 to $20 million. So they could pay for the best attorneys and the best consultants. Right. And I don't know how much he got paid. I'm not aware, but I think he was a paid consultant.
Jeez. So let's just get right into it. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I really kind of want, people to be able to go and get the basics out of the way. Although I will say real quick, I will be doing a show just on the basic timeline, some of the just the basic facts about the case. We'll probably be doing that on my own tomorrow or possibly a little bit later in the week, but be on the lookout for that. Just so, nobody has to go to another channel. They can just stay here and check out everything from there. But until that happens, do you kind of want to just give like the basic rundown of what happened, the kind of the people that we're dealing with?
Yeah, so it goes all the way back to 1993. It was the date was May 5th. 3 young boys, Byers, Moore, and Branch, disappeared. They were all 8 years old. They disappeared at night. They were out for a bike ride after school, and there was a huge search for them. They were found the next day in an area called West Memphis. So it's Memphis, the city, Memphis, Tennessee, but over the Mississippi River, west of that is West Memphis. It's kind of like a working class, lower middle class kind of environment that they've disappeared. Their parents were like, I think one was a milkman, one was an ice cream delivery driver. Right. There was a big panic there, and then the next day they were found in a place called Robin Hood The nickname was Robin Hood Hills. It was basically a part between the city and the freeway, the kind of main interstate. And it was a place where the local kids would hang out and stuff like that. They were found submerged in a kind of a very strange way, submerged with sticks in a little gully. There is like these kind of feeder rivers that help allay floods from the Mississippi. And it was one of these kind of areas. And one was like really brutally treated, and one's genitals were missing. They called it it's pretty graphic. Their genitals were unsheathed, and it caused a panic. So then the police got involved. It became international news, actually, because of the graphic nature of the crime and the lack of suspects. And there were interviews in the city. There, yeah, perfect. That's a picture of it, I think, in the lower left. It's all been kind of plowed over now. You can't even find the stuff, that area intact. Like the forest is all gone.
Right.
Like many crime scenes, that's what they do. They tear down the houses or whatever. They just,
right.
They don't even want to have a memory of it. Anyway, so it's a very graphic crime. The police are investigating. There's a lot of great court cases. The good news about the police investigation and the court cases, they're all online at Callahan 8K, and I use that as a resource. I literally was on there last week, kind of tinkering around, and I found that all the stuff, information's there that I used for my book Abomination, which was published in 2012. Anyway, the police investigated. They interviewed some young boys. There were rumors. People were blaming people. People were brought in. There were, Damien Echols, who became the chief suspect, was brought in. He was administered a lie detector test, which he failed. That's from the court cases right there, that drawing. But they didn't have any evidence to do it, to like arrest anybody for about a month. So they were like, taking videos. There's videos in the court records of people taking videos at the local skating rink where people would hang out. But on June 3rd, so almost a month later, police went to Jesse Miskelly, who was another younger guy. I think he was 17 at the time. Echols was 18, and then Baldwin 16. But they went to Miskelly's house, and they asked him to come with his dad's approval, to come in for questioning at the police station. They just want to ask him some questions, and he started confessing. So there's a partial recording of him confessing, and he's not a very bright guy. I don't think not a high IQ person at all. But he basically confessed. It led to the year where he also fingered Baldwin and Echols. So they were all arrested, Baldwin, Echols, and Miskelly. They were arrested for the murders of Branch, Moore, and Byers. They were put in. There was some kind of rule where the testimony of one person cannot be used in court against himself. So they were going to use his confession in the court trial. So they bifurcated the trials, which means that Baldwin and Echols were tried in one criminal proceeding, and Miskelly was singularly tried in another proceeding. And those trials took place in 1994. Tons of records on that too. You can go through and parse through them. There's pieces of it in these like documentaries, which I'll get to. But basically it led to their conviction. All three were convicted by two juries in 1994 for the murders. Echols was sentenced to death. These two, Miskelly and Baldwin, got life in prison. And then it kind of picked up steam. There was two HBO filmmakers who came out and filmed a documentary called Paradise Lost. It was Berlinger and Sanofsky. Berlinger's still around. He's doing shows and documentaries on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And those kind of those were released in 1996 by HBO. And they kind of had a kind of effect where people were interested in the case, and because of the graphic nature of the case and a lot of the stuff involved. And then it kind of gained steam. They made it into a trilogy. So there were three Paradise Lost documentaries. And the second one kind of changed the thing, where they were interviewing Echols and Baldwin. They were blaming one of the stepfathers, the Byers stepfather. And there's this slow rolling growth of this innocence campaign, that they were innocent. They were found guilty. Their guilty charges have never been overthrown, by the way. The first one's in 1994, excuse me. But so these through like these documentaries which went out, it started this whole kind of slow rolling avalanche of public support, where people said they were innocent. They always claimed they're innocent publicly, which isn't really true, because the court cases, they brought these girls in from the softball park that heard that Damien Echols confessed. much like Miss Kelly did. So one of the things in court was these statements by these girls, which the jury seemed to believe, about Echols saying, I killed 3 and I'm going to kill 2 more. So they heard him say that at the softball in between May 5th and July 3rd, 1995. So anyway, so this kind of like what I would call innocence fraud, part of the innocence fraud movement, like Syed and some of these other things. I've done tons of shows on that with Roberta Glass of the True Crime Report, on Amanda Knox too, who really claims innocence, but she was convicted of calumnia. She's convicted of defamation, kind of in an Italian court. And I think she was originally convicted. Actually, it was overturned because of lack of evidence.
Right.
But anyway, this, with time and changes and people kind of growing over, the police retiring, the judges are retiring, this kind of growth in the Innocence Project. And what happened is this growth in the Innocence Project really kind of morphed into the part where a lot of celebrities got involved. So a lot of people, well-known celebrities are involved. Johnny Depp, Peter Jackson of The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings fame, very deep pockets too, by the way. Margaret Cho, Henry Rollins, Eddie Vedder, Winona Ryder, the Dixie Chicks. These are just some, they had these like literal like benefit concerts and things like that for these so-called innocent people who are guilty of law. Like they're still guilty. That's the important thing people overlook. Like I did a video, like, do you understand they're still guilty at law? Like, why don't you overturn the guilty plea? Why is it? They've used this kind of DNA kind of thing to see it, what's called the CSI effect. Like if you didn't find any DNA, they're innocent. But you have to remember, this is 1993. They didn't even allow luminol things that were found. It's in the court records at Callahan AK. They didn't allow the luminol evidence or facts into court because that's how little they knew about luminol at the time in 1993. It wasn't allowed into court because it wasn't factually accurate, scientifically accurate at that time. It's hard to believe, but you can see the luminol testing. There's blood all over the place on that side of the things at this kind of like Robin Hood Hills. Anyway, so this kind of growing thing, eventually it kind of grew. This kind of innocence claims grew to happen to be their release. There was a moment there where there was a change in the judge and also the prosecutor, the local state prosecutor changed, and they were going to try to get a new court case involved. But I don't know what happened, but like the new prosecutor says, we'll let you go, but you have to plead guilty again. So it's a very interesting situation. August in 2011 is when they were released, and they all pled guilty again. Like I have a video, you can go check out my X. It's just, you have to scroll down, but it's literally them saying we're guilty with the best lawyers. Like they had fantastic lawyers. They had a great appeals lawyer. His name was Richard Reardon, I think, who actually worked for Bobby or Barry Bonds, like whose head like grew like 1.5 inches circumference, and like, they busted him for using roids or something, and he got like a misdemeanor or something. But I think a lot of those guys in the in baseball use PEDs, performance enhancing stuff. My opinion. I'm not saying they are, but anyway, so they got out, and this fanfare, right? So this fanfare, like, oh, this is a great moment for innocence. All this stuff, and they overlooked all of this kind of occultism that was going on from 1993 in jail. He wrote this book, Life After Death, when he got out in 2012, and then I put my book out in 2012, Abomination, which I thought they were innocent. When they got out, I remember reading or watching some TV program, and I'm like, oh, there must have been some kind of technicality. They're out of jail in 2011. I didn't think much about it. I had just written a book on Aleister Crowley. My first book was Prophet of Evil. And then I saw this thing online that came from Paradise Lost, which I watched in 1996. And that it's the prosecutor Price asking Echols, what do you know about a fella named Aleister Crowley? And I was like, what? Crowley was involved in this case? I had no idea. And it was like this kind of like, hit me like a ton of bricks, like this effect. Like I didn't know this. I didn't know this element. Why aren't they talking about this in public? This guy's really interested in Crowley. Echols is. So then I went back and I started scratching my head, and I was like, why is everybody saying they're innocent? Like, why is there this collusion? Why is there this conformity, this moving? And you'll see this in other cases too. It happens. It's like an artificial fake. It's actually kind of like I think it's the Asher test, where the guy, like, they did this back in the 50s or 60s, where there would be a test subject brought into a room and all the other students would be in on it, and they'd all say, this line is bigger than this line, where the guy knows that this one line is not in conformance with the other one, but because everybody else says that line is bigger, they'll just go along with it. And that's what I think happened in the West Memphis Three, was the actual implementation of behavioral psychology to the public through the use of public relations, which they paid for a public relations guy out of New York City who hates my guts. Like, he harasses me. I had to block him online. I get harassed by these guys all the time.
Right.
Anyway, I mean, I have full threads of just like unbelievable constant harassment, because my opinion in 2012 was not popular at all.
Right.
It was very much against the public. Like 90% of the public, or 95, are like, they're innocent. This is criminal. This is Satanic Panic. Blah, 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 blah. But there's so much occultism in this book. I mean, you read the book, so you know, like, it's all over the place. Anyway, so then my book came out, and then I think Echols, like, there's been like it has to be called a saga, because there's like West of Memphis, another documentary came out. Then Devil's Knot came out, which is a movie with kind of big actors, like what's the girl's name? She was in, I can't remember her name, but I see her face. But they had like legit actors in it. And it wasn't a very good movie, but like, there's just been so many things in books and stuff, and it's really a strange case, because Mara Leverett is supposedly, she wrote Devil's Knot, and she's supposedly the author of Note, but there's great mysteries involved in this case, and they're involved in other true crime cases. And one of the things about Leverett is she's ignoring facts and evidence. So is Douglas. Like, I've never been sued because I can prove it. Like, these are the facts and evidence in the case, and you guys are supposedly the authors of Note or whatever. Why aren't you including this? This is supposed to be like a fundamental thing. And she's still omitting these facts to, I mean, at least in the once they got released. I don't know what she's up to these days, but like, and there's very tightly controlled interview processes, and it's all very sketchy and not like see-through. There's a lot of opacity and opaque things surrounding these guys to this day. Anyway, Echols gets out. He's actually confirmed to be a member of the O.T.O. while he was in jail. I have the O.T.O. Information. He gets out and just covers himself with tattoos and starts hanging out with every Satanist he can find. Like Marilyn Manson, Genesis P. Orange. He's posting about Crowley. I mean, he goes and starts his own Hermetic Reiki, his own, occult order type stuff, starts publishing his own books. He has his own classes. He's on YouTube all the time. He moved to Salem because he wanted to be more comfortable with the witches. Then he moved to New Orleans. And I mean, all this stuff is a real giveaway. Like, it's really a giveaway who he is. And so to this day, they're still proclaiming innocence. They're supposedly still working. I mean, there's a lot of money involved. Like, people are sending money because they think they're innocent. So, so that's kind of like the overview of like this whole saga from 1993 here. It's over 30 years. It's really incredible.
So you mentioned initially, when you were aware of the case, you thought they were innocent just like everyone else.
Correct. There's no question. Like, I didn't, it wasn't on my radar. Like, I wasn't focused on things. I was working on something else, but it was just like it was just like, that's just what I thought. And I was the media. I was much more kind of like interested in, I thought the media was credible back then more. Now I don't.
Well, and I was in the same position when I first heard of the case. Maybe early 2000s, I think, is the first time I came across Paradise Lost. When I was just getting into documentaries and watching them more frequently, and this came across. I think, at the time, my family was paying for DirecTV or something back in the day, and we had a movie channel, and they were playing documentaries all the time. And of course, I came across it and watched the first, second, and third Paradise Lost, and of course, I was up in arms. These boys were railroaded. Like, how dare they? And not until much later, you know, after getting into the mind control and, you know, propaganda and all these things that I focus on and study, did I really start looking at Satanic Panic cases. And of course, this is like the crown jewel almost. Like, this is a perfect example of propaganda, in my opinion, and how far it can go, how you're able to manipulate a situation based upon omittance of evidence, or even just completely inaccurate facts that they put out there. Now, my personal opinion about this case is that if you think that they're innocent, then that means, at least to me, that you know nothing of the case. You have not looked at the evidence. You've maybe seen Paradise Lost, but even that these days, I don't even think people have seen that. They just kind of go with it. But when somebody says that these boys are innocent, or men now, but when they say that they're innocent, it just says to me, you know nothing of this case, because it's all out in the open, like you said, and there's occultism everywhere.
So much. I mean, it really is something else. Like, it's like an occult network being exposed. Like, you don't want to come to that conclusion. Like, these guys are all working together. Like, it's like, it's like Charlie Kirk, like, or something like that, where like you can tell these people, there's too much conformity of opinions and collusion to think it's random. These people are operating just independently. They're not. So one of the things about the West Memphis Three is there's like, I mean, the thing is, we live in this kind of blizzard of lies. Like, that's probably one of the reasons why I do it, is like, we've been lied to about so much stuff through the media. It's really dishonest. And it's, you know, we know who the father of lies is. It's the devil. Like, literally, the media is run by people who are in league with the devil, lying to people about everything. Healthcare, politics, these things. Like, putting this guy up is like incredible. Like, he's still convicted. He can't travel outside of the United States because they say, do you have any convictions? Felony? Yes, I'm convicted of first-degree murder for killing children, 3 8-year-olds. So he has to keep lying about it. And all the evidence that they so-called say that would, you know, overthrow the convictions is not there. And they actually, when they signed the stuff in 2011, they had to sign something that said they would never sue the state either. So they wouldn't civilly sue the state. So that's it. And they were on probation for 10 years. So their probation just ended like in 2021. So.
And they came out on an Alford plea, correct?
Correct, right. That's a Supreme Court case. It's Alford versus North Carolina. And what it allows you to do is publicly proclaim you're innocent while you plead guilty in court. And it's kind of like what they kept doing. They just publicly proclaimed their innocence. And they went on this kind of publicity tour that involved so many of these crappy, lousy TV journalists. Don Lemon, Piers Morgan, The View. I mean, we can watch some of these. I mean, they just didn't even do any research at all. Like, I have one with Janine Pirro, who I think is now the ruling kind of legal authority in Washington, D.C., and she did no freaking research. She had no idea what's going on. Like, you don't even have to read my book. My book, by the way, for people who don't know, the Arkansas Supreme Court put my book on their recommended book list after I published it. Yeah. So it was kind of like a nice tip of the hat. I was right there underneath John Grisham, who I think has some kind of attachment to Arkansas.
Right.
I was really,
that's
it was a nice thing. Like, it was on their website, the Supreme Court of Arkansas. So they know too. And one of the interesting things that I didn't get is, like, they're very disingenuous interviews with the other people involved. So like they were interviewed, like these documentarians went out and talked to Fogelman and Price, and like didn't ask them any meaningful questions and made them look like hillbillies. And like there's very telling things like symbols and evidence in the documentaries where like they're clearly playing these locals for rubes. Like they show the stars and bars. So like they show the Southern flag, like they try to make them like made the judge look like a hillbilly. And people, that was one of the big, propaganda things is like, these are simpletons, fly over, Southern hillbilly hicks who like are into KKK and moonshine and talking.
Right.
Fogelman has a little bit of a accent, a thick
Yeah.
drawl, but it's not fair. It really isn't fair. I really respect the judge and the attorneys, the prosecuting attorney. I thought Price was great. And the
Yeah.
closing statement of Fogelman's out there. People should listen to it. It's
Right.
really, really something else. So I got a completely different view. I mean, in a lot of ways, I was very objective because I'm not even close to that. So people couldn't kind of take my take because they're like, "Oh, is he a conservative Christian?" No, and I'm not from the South, so
Right.
no, so it's been an interesting ride, but yeah, it's pervaded. There's an industry around, like I have to say that I'm part of the business of true crime because that's kind of my genre.
Right.
But like, there's so many other. I don't want to name their names. I mean, there's like other there's a prosecutor podcast who did like 30 episodes or some crazy amount of episodes on the West Memphis Three alone. Like, so like they're
Wow.
it's still, yeah. And there's another guy whose name I don't want to mention, and they're always popping up, but they're like do a lousy like they had a prosecutor on the Prosecutors podcast, which is very popular.
Right.
She's like, I just didn't see any evidence of satanic crime in there. Well, you didn't look because it's everywhere.
Right.
It's like redolent. Like, wow, how can you look over this? Kids are tied up. It's like in bulk, the full moon. The guy's like totally into the occult. He's making hand gestures.
Right. And Damien had all the
tattoos.
knowledge of everything and had knowledge of crime before the police even knew.
They asked him on the stand, they're like, what do you know about occultism? And he answered, I know everything.
Yeah.
He literally said, like, it's in the court record. You're saying it's not important. It's just not important to them. So for them, it just doesn't have any meaning. It doesn't have any impact. Whereas it should, because people's philosophies and their ideas and their worldview lead to negative outcomes. So they have like an evil mind and they do stuff. So if you're like a person who's leftist or is aggrieved or Antifa and you think that there's fascists everywhere, Nazis, it's just to fight against them and so they do crimes. People get shot. Antifa's done a lot of property crime and physical crime too, a lot of physical stuff based upon their ideology. And Satanism talks about weird stuff. You can get power by doing stuff, you know?
Right.
You can drink blood.
That's what Damien spoke a lot of is when he was asked about like why the murderer might do this, then he might, target children because they would get more power and, anything sexual equals more power and all of these really strange things.
Exactly. Yeah. Very strange ideation. Like, and he, like people, like they leave this stuff out of the documentaries. He was in 3 mental institutions like a year or 2 years before the things. Like he literally, I think he was supposed to go with his mom to a psychiatrist or his somebody at the thing like the day of the crime or something. Like there's a record in exhibit. People don't know there's an exhibit 500. That's the whole thing. Like they don't know there's a 500-page psych record. Like, it's incredible how much they don't know about basic things of the case. And it's all because of this poor media and this and the documentaries. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come to me and they're like, what do you know about? I know everything. They'd be like, William, I know everything about the West Memphis Three. I've seen all 3 documentaries. That's happened to me like 100 times. I'm just like, they're really mockumentaries. They're closer to Spinal Tap, in my opinion. No, I'm serious.
I would agree.
They're useless to watch, and they like what people don't know. Like if I know a lot. I've talked to Terry Hobbs and stuff like that, but they were paying people to do stuff. Like literally, the documentaries are like, "Oh, I'll pay you $200 a day. Now go out and say crazy stuff and shoot at a thing." And like they're following directions like actors. Like it's and so people are like, "Oh, this is a really honest." No, it's not. It's not
scripted reality.
Exactly. Very well said. It's like a reality show. And it goes into the larger culture, just like that same theme you said at the very beginning. It's like they're mockumentaries. It's part of this deceptive larger culture. It's something far more broad where the peoples of the media are doing a very dishonest job for whatever agenda they have. It's very corrupt to me, in my opinion, very corrupt and very disingenuous to what they did with those documentaries. They misled millions of people, in my opinion, by omission. Like George Orwell said, the greatest form of lie is omission. And they omitted Jesse's post-conviction confessions, the 6 or what, I can't even
Right.
count, that are recorded, and then the Exhibit 500 and all the occultism were like, yeah, Damien, I had a scrape, and Damien bent down and licked my blood off my arm, or whatever. He stomped on the dog, or he left a pig's head on my porch, or like, wow, what,
Right.
like, guys, come on.
So, one thing I wanted to ask you is, especially as a legal professional, why, in your opinion, why do you believe that, in any court case, if like the occult or Satanism or anything gets brought up in the case, then all of a sudden it's like an automatic shutdown for people's mind, like they just automatically dismiss it. Why do you believe that is?
It's like the change in the culture. I think it's really kind of like, I think that Satanic Panic is really something that, it's a concept like conspiracy theory that was made up by the people who want to allay rigorous inquiry into their
Right.
actions. So, like CIA, well, let's do this. If anybody looks in JFK and finds any facts that there was a great conspiracy, call them a theorist, and that's injected into the public mind. So then anybody who looks into Satanism and its negative outcomes, you're in a panic, right? You're hysterical, you're unhinged.
Yeah.
But like I list in my book, like how many satanic crimes there are. Like these people are motivated by Satanism, they kill people.
Right.
Like, so I think it's like the change in the culture. It's not as much of a Christian culture as it used to be, where they believe in like evil deeds and stuff like that. So it's I think it's coming back around, actually. I think people are realizing they've been bamboozled by like people, malevolent, sinister actors.
Right. And it just seems, towards the end of the 80s, early part of the 90s, with the False Memory Syndrome Foundation, pushing the lies that, this for some reason could never happen. And, once you start examining it, it's ridiculous to say, oh, the only people that would, never hurt children, the only religion that doesn't hurt children is Satanists. like, you say that out loud and you realize how ridiculous it is. But that is the lie that they've perpetuated with this. So
they really have. Yeah, they really have. And a lot of the stuff is like, I mean, it's really incredible. Like I've done shows on Ken Lanning, and there's actually Gunderson in the Franklin scandal. In the book, he like has this script. The only person who's done more I can't remember the exact quote, maybe I can find it, but it's like the only person who's done more for Satanism over is like LaVey, Crowley, and Aquino, and then Ken Lanning. Like he says, Ken Lanning is like, and Ken Lanning has just overlooked all of satanic crime, much like Douglas. Like they just like, nope, not exist. I think if my memory serves me correct, it's not as great as it used to be, but I'm pretty sure that Douglas once said, we've already looked into it because Ken Lanning did a report and said there was no satanic crime, therefore no satanic crime.
Wow.
So Douglas is on board with that too. I have to find that quote too. Like sometimes I read stuff, I don't know its importance off the top of my head. But like these guys are both big time kind of culture creators. The Douglas and Lanning. I mean, they had that Mindhunter thing on Netflix, right? Where they're like, interviewing serial killers. And then like, where's the program to kill stuff? Like, you guys need to look farther. Like they do superficial things on, it's very superficial in my opinion, the Mindhunter stuff. Like, what about the connections? Like, what about the things that were happening in Santa Cruz at the time of some of these other guys, or Manson's cult stuff? Let me see if I can bring this up for you.
So while you're looking at that, I kind of wanted to.
It's right here. Can you bring this up real quick? Before we lose this train of thought. It says here on the bottom, Gunderson commented on the effect of Lanning's disclaimers. In my opinion, other than Satanists active in the United States in the 20th century, Aleister Crowley, Anton LaVey, Michael Aquino, Ken Lanning is probably the most effective and foremost speaker for the satanic movement in this country today or any time in the past.
Oh, it's so on the nose. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Sorry.
So I wanted to get into who Damien is. Like what is his story? Like what was his life like before, I guess becoming now world famous and, ending up on, Tim Pool's Culture War podcast and kind of giving him the runaround.
Referenced on season 4 of Stranger Things. That kid, who
Right.
the new kid is based on Eccles.
Right. Yeah, so I know all three boys, Jesse Miss Kelly, Damien Echols, and Jason Baldwin, they all have some sort of history with violence or some sort of troubling behavior. And troubling for teenagers, because I mean teenagers are troubled, but troubling for a teenager. Like this is not your average growing up story. So who is Damien and what was his life like before all of this?
There's a lot to be known. There's a lot, like, there's not that mysterious. He admits a lot in his autobiography too. Like, he grew up very poor. I don't think his mother ever worked. She was always on disability or something, and he was from a trailer park. But he's kind of unusual. I mean, there's stories that he tells where he couldn't sleep, and his dad says like he was screaming all the time, like night's terrors or something like that. But he read a lot, so he's definitely a reader. But he never seemed to like fit into school. I think he was in and out of like detention or something like that a lot, and was always interested in like darker stuff. So his mom would take him to libraries and to bookstores to buy books that he was interested in. So he was constantly reading, and he was 18 when the crimes occurred, and he had already had a child with his girlfriend, who has a really interesting background too, because like her aunt or something was in some kind of blood drinking group in California. Like, oh yeah, my mom drinks blood, my sister drinks blood. Like, it's weird.
Right.
And so he had a son who's in Arizona, I think right now is an adult son. Really crazy.
Right.
But you'll see, like, I think there's pictures in videos of them in the Paradise Lost documentaries. So I think, but his, like, I mean, Exhibit 500 tells a lot, because they really did a lot of psychological evals on him. Like,
Right.
why is this guy checking in here? Why is he here? Like he threatened his stepfather, threatened his father. He actually has his stepfather's last name. Echols is his stepfather's name. His given name is Hutchison. His real name is Michael Hutchison. That's his birth name. But the Exhibit 500 says a lot about him. They talk, like, it's really crazy, because they're like, this guy dissociates. So he's having like MK, like, your intro is fantastic, by the way. I love the
Thank
intro
you.
of Jolly
Thank
West
you.
and all the stuff like radar using to change behavior. Like, that's
Right.
kind of stuff I'm researching now, doing my Manchurian Candidate stuff. But the dissociative thing is kind of a giveaway. So he really dissociates. So he may not know certain things about his own behavior. And that's a very common thing to dissociate if you undergo a lot of trauma or have a traumatic childhood, which I think he did. I think
Right.
that there's some trauma. It's interesting too, is that on the same year of the murders, I think it was 93 or 94, his mother was out at some bonfire near the Mississippi River where somebody got shot and killed. So, like, I think it was they were living together in the trailer. It's kind of a side story that gets overlooked, but like there was like a strange death associated with the family at night near the Mississippi River. But yeah, his early life, like, I don't think he graduated from high school. And like I said, like 3 stays in mental facilities and 500 pages of documentation that people can read through. I mean, it's voluminous, and all of his stories kind of, like, he tells stories about his, yeah, there you go. Tell stories about his background, and a lot about his family. I think there were, if I remember correctly, there were accusation of sexual abuse of his sister. He has a younger sister. I believe his mother's passed away.
Right.
But trying to remember some of the details. Like, I think he got kicked out of school for like lighting a fire in a garbage can during class or something like that, which seems odd. And there were others.
There was one of those, and another thing that he got in trouble for, I believe suspended, is he tried to gouge a student's eye out, said he was gonna like eat him alive, and also threatened to do that to his stepfather, or actually his real father, because I believe he was living in Oregon at the time when he went to go live with his biological father. And then his biological father and stepmother were terrified of him because he was, a monster, and just constantly causing problems.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems, I mean, he even said, like you mentioned, the Tim Pool interview, and there's a lot of really interesting admissions on that interview. And I've done a show on that, but he said at one time, like he admits, like we were freaking animals, or we were monsters, or something like that.
Right.
Like he literally said that on that interview. I took notes about it, but I'm surprised that somebody let him out to go do that, because it's kind of like all the confirmation of the stuff that other like authentic researchers are researching. He admitted to, like, wow, he really admitted to this in like in a stated interview. I don't know where that is. Yeah, so this is an interesting guy. Griffiths was a expert on the stand. I actually talked to that guy. I got to kind of respect and kind of like the research Christian community when I published the book, because a lot of the guys who had been around researching this stuff, like Russ Dizdar and Griffiths, reached out. He got a real bad rap. Like they made fun of this guy. He's a great researcher. He had reams and reams of documentation of all of his research. Pre-internet guy, remember? Like this is like, he was compiling stuff in 1993 about satanic crimes. And Russ Dizdar, before he died, I think he was possibly his death was advanced or accelerated, is with his wife. He said that they were in the process of taking all of his documentation that he had in his files and scanning it into copies. I don't know if that project ever got done, but anyway, Griffiths he shows up on other cases too. He was right. I mean, he knew some of the stuff. Like Echols literally was questioned on court whether he had a pentagram on his chest, and he admitted it. He did. He did have a tattoo of a pentagram on his chest. And they both had evil on their knuckles. They admitted to that too. So EVIL, both Baldwin and Echols had that on their knuckles, which is pretty scary. Right. And I've like video of Echols like saying, "I'm going to drink blood." You can pull that up somewhere. Got it. Like this is not kind of normal stuff. Right.
Yeah, it definitely seems like I said, I mean, I remember being a teenager and it was rough, Being a teenager is awful most of the time. You're confused, you're going through weird things. But this is not like normal teenager stuff. This is, connecting a lot of these emotions with extreme violence, which seem to be incredibly common amongst all three, Miss Kelly, Echols, and Baldwin.
Yeah, I mean, he was considered to be Miss Kelly was considered to be a brawler who fought a lot and punched people, and I think Baldwin got busted for shoplifting, if I remember correctly. And Echols had all kinds of statements and things of like all kinds of stuff he was up to, like just like pretty savage. I think that's what he said in the Tim Pool interview, is like, we were savages. I'm trying to find my notes on the Tim Pool thing, because it's interesting to hear him talk about that, because it was just such an admission, like so many admissions. Like it's just off the charts.
Well, and I mean, that's kind of par for the course for him, right? Because that's what he's done almost this entire time. The very first time he was approached by police officers, I mean, he was admitting to details to the case before the police even knew.
Right. Like he said strange things like, oh, yeah, he probably feels good about it, which is a really kind of psychopathic response, in my opinion. Like, what's the person who committed this crime thinking, oh, he feels good? Right. Which is like, whoa, this is like real kind of criminal type stuff. But and there's those documents are in the court record. You can see them. The cop wrote the notes, the questions and responses. And there's also a very telling document where Echols signed up for Social Security, where he mentions LaVey. He self-identifies as a sociopath. Like,
Right.
these are things you would lie about. Like, if you're a sociopath, you wouldn't be honest about that. Like, oh no, I think I'm pretty normal, or whatever it is, you know.
Right.
I don't know, but I don't think I'm going to find this Tim Pool. I have these notes from Tim Pool, but it's really, I mean,
how did it get this far that the state was just hell bent?
I do highly recommend
I was saying this before the show. I was like, I want to make sure I get this right. It sounds like
go check it
you
out.
get a bunch of really angry people. They hear the story. I mean, it's a horrible story.
Here
you know, these three kids getting murdered, and they say do something.
The
but they don't care what. The state just says give them whatever. And so they're like, if we, it's almost like the state would be more content with killing an innocent man as long as it makes them look like they did something.
That, and it also makes the community feel like they have a sense of closure. Like someone was arrested, something was done. So it's like I mean, there really is in situations like that, like a kind of psychic pressure. Like whenever these crimes happened in West Memphis, you could feel it was almost like it changed the air. Like you could, it was all everyone was thinking about. Because everyone was talking.
So the whole argument, at least as I understand it, is that he wasn't into the occult. He's not an occultist.
Like it changed that community,
but then
to its foundation,
like,
in a not pleasant
all of
way.
His tattoos,
and all people want is for life to go back to.
I have tattoos, and I have the above average level of tattoos. I've got them on my hands and stuff, and I don't have a bunch of occult tattoos. I also was not involved in an occult murder or, and I don't also claim to not be an occultist while being an occultist, like, it's so odd to me. Especially when people will still push this idea that, he's not an occultist. To get this pressure
out of the air. And we were the scapegoats. We sat.
But somebody who is not an occultist will not be, recreating Aleister Crowley photos, like,
posting stuff about Aleister Crowley all the time, like on his social media, Instagram, and all this stuff. And he, like, I mean, who wants to cover their body in Enochian language and stuff and share tattoos with people in the Theban alphabet? He actually emulated a tattoo style. I don't know where it comes from, but I've seen Kenneth Anger use it, and it's in some of his movies. And that Theban tattoo style is basically the Theban language, which is like the witches of old Greece, and it basically conforms to the English alphabet 26, but it's just different insignia. But he basically has that, and he shared it with a lot of these other people, Peter Jackson, Depp. A lot of these guys have that same style tattoo. So it's very telling, and it's supposed to be these sigils. It's called sigil magic. And you basically have either a word or a letter, and you draw lines with it, and then it creates this line, and that's supposed to kind of magnify the power, psychological power, spiritual power. And that's in the inside of the circles, these sigils. So sometimes those sigils are a secretive means of communication. So the two people may know that word, but the public doesn't know what the line is too. So that's a form of occultism. It's occulted knowledge.
So I actually had somebody in the chat ask a question. Rise to Liberty, ask William, what's the point? Why was Echols important? Is it the actual cult using him to flex, or justice system, or cult using him to convince targets Satan is real and legitimize him?
I mean, I think he sees himself as self-important. I think he made that admission in like Paradise Lost or something, like, I'm going to influence the world. So he had kind of this idea of being an influential person. He's definitely smart. He's intelligent. There's no question about it. I don't know if he's super intelligent, but he's clever enough to like read words and write books and stuff like that. Like, he's literate. He's a literate person, or be literate, self-taught. He's an autodidact is what I'd call him. But I think that other people, they see, I mean, these are rich people. Go look into Johnny Depp. It'll blow your mind what his friendships are like. Thompson and all his illuminated gestures and strange things around his life that I don't want to get into, but he's a lot like Echols. So I think they might have seen, like, they really know the inside of what happened, what happened. And so I think that's why he's important, is because the other kind of occulted travelers see him. I mean, I think he called Johnny Depp his blood brother, whatever that means.
Right.
So yeah. His tattoo is like the one in the center there. It's almost like that. Right. It's a different language, but it may be a seal. It could be seen as a seal. And I think those tattoos that he has are also seen as like a spiritual doorway. One of the interesting things about Echols is he kind of conforms to kind of the Christian worldview. Is like he's spiritually possessed. He had said in one of his in Exhibit 500, he said he has the spirit of a woman inside him, and it makes him more powerful. So this other woman that's inside of him, this possession or altar or something, is a beneficial. So it's like this schizo kind of view is like good.
Right.
Like, I'm being consulted by a dead person or whatever. He also had this other entity who took him on night journeys and stuff in his diary. It's incredible. And he said, "You don't think I'm real?" And he came and licked my hand. I knew he was real. Like this thing showing him up and like, "I have plans for you, and we're going to go on a horse and go on a night journey." And it's really something. I forgot what the nickname he had of him, but he had some kind of like spirit entity or something.
Right.
He had all these like very apocalyptic ideas, like the end of the world's coming. I'm going to bring the end of the world and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So his ideation is way different than, he's like you said earlier, it's not a normal wholesome upbringing. It just didn't happen to him.
Right.
And, Depp is an interesting character in and of himself. Like,
I agree. And the fact that they have matching tattoos, Johnny Depp also has incredibly strange friends, with a lot of strange connections. And I mean, Johnny Depp while he was still alive was friends with Hunter S. Thompson, which, he has admitted to some very, very awful things. And, what people are alleging that he was involved with, I don't know, but it just seems strange to me, like I was telling you before the show, I was one of those strange kids that grew up listening to heavy metal, wearing black t-shirts. I mean, I'm wearing one now, but I never had run-ins with all of these people, that also have these really odd, strange connections. And, like none of my friends had these weird, rumors about them of being involved in some of the worst possible things. So, it's, it just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me if you're working from the position of, he's not an occultist, they are innocent, so it's like when I hear those things, it's like, have you ever seen anything? Like, did you actually even watch the documentaries? Because,
watch that Tim Pool. He has no clue about the basic facts of the case. He didn't do any homework at all.
No,
he probably was told something by somebody.
Right.
Like, hey, you gotta have this guy. He's totally innocent. And he's like, okay, well, I'll do that. Like, he didn't seem to have even one shred of doubt about that story. Like, he didn't go, "Are you really telling the truth? Like, how can you be? You're still guilty of law, aren't you?
Right.
Like, why are you still guilty of law?"
Right.
There's Depp with like his Echols tattoo. You can see that on his chest. So that's it. the Theban thing. Yeah. So there's also a picture of him at the tattoo artist getting this kind of wings over in heaven. I Ching art tattoo again. So and like I have videos. You can play this video of Depp. Here he is promoting Echols on Larry King. Like this used to be before the internet and the streaming and StreamYard. This is the way people got information. Like Larry King was seen as kind of like an honest actor. I don't think he's honest at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Larry King was huge. So
yeah. Do you mind playing this video?
Why'd you get involved? Because I knew immediately, when I first started to get, kind of familiarize myself with the case, I knew instantly that they were innocent. I knew instantly that they were wrongfully accused. And the more research I did and the more people I spoke to, it was absolutely apparent.
Did you have anybody say to you, Johnny, you go out on a limb on a thing like this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people.
Like, what if they did it? going to look bad.
There was that kind of thing, yeah. But I just knew, you know.
Those little head shakes are tells, by the way.
Right.
When you say I knew, he's saying no. His body language is saying no. Yeah, yeah.
It was just, it was ugly and a raw deal from the get-go back in '93. And you're thinking of these three kids, you know, one, Damien Echols on death row for 18 years, 10 years in isolation, you know, for a crime that he did not commit.
Except for he was convicted of.
Right. Twice. He's actually a rarity in the kind of legal thing. Like most people do not have a double conviction.
Right.
They do not get convicted. Here they are together at their book tour, and they're asking questions and stuff like that. But
and this is Damien Echols and Johnny Depp.
Yeah, but look at how the control that they have on the public. This is why I like this. Or that's why, to me, this video is important.
Right.
Is that they know, in my opinion, they know they're being deceptive, but this public adulation that they've attained it's like the height of a magical working. If they really have all these people under some form of mind control. I don't know what exactly you would term it, but they've got them under their thumb, in my opinion. Watch this.
How you doing? Hey, Tom.
So I know that not everyone was conceived.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome formally to Barnes & Noble Union Square. We are privileged and humbled to have Damien Echols with us this evening.
Privileged and humbled. Listen to the clapping.
Extraordinary and powerful reckoning of his life before, during, and after his unspeakable 20 years on death row.
Yeah, I don't have the whole thing of that. It's just like too much. Like it's really incredible. You want to watch the View one? I mean, I've got some.
Yeah,
you can talk about Margaret Cho. I've got ones on all the celebrities like supporting him. You can just see these people. Just the thing is that. That's part of the great mystery is all these people are saying the same thing. And they have this line down for a crime he didn't commit. Almost every article and public statement is he was convicted for a crime he didn't commit. It's like the statement out of Manchurian Candidate where they say Raymond Shaw is the kindest, strangest, most wonderful man I've ever seen. Like they repeat it over and over.
Right. Like that is the spell. So we'll get to that in just a sec. There's one paragraph at the very beginning of your book that I think is incredibly important, and I wanted to highlight it real quick. Right in the very beginning, you say, please realize at the outset of this narrative that defense attorneys are paid to vigorously defend their clients, both in court and out of court. They consciously choose which evidence to emphasize and which to omit based on how it affects both the public and in-court perception of their case. The experts are paid well to proffer their their specific opinions. He who pays the piper picks the tune. And I think that's an incredibly important point to mention, because this is where a lot of it's coming from. And then you get the documentary filmmakers and everything else coming after that, repeating the exact same thing that their defense attorneys came in and mentioned, which it's like, that's something that never gets mentioned. It's like, well, the defense attorneys were paid to do this, and they're going to do it to the best of their ability.
The one guy's
interested in
the guy Dan Stidman just put out another book. That's part of like the industry behind the West Memphis Three. Like he put out a book, but he's a judge now, a municipal judge, I believe.
Right.
But I don't think he could ever have his own personal opinion as representing these guys. He could never state it, or he'd be disbarred. Like, I'm just representing him. I think they did it. Like, he could never say that. People don't understand. Like, there's no way that he could ever be honest. Like, I mean, and it's not his role. It really isn't his role. If you're a defense attorney, you're legally obligated to vigorously defend your client to the fullest extent of the law.
Right. Well, and there is a legal obligation, isn't there? Like under the bar that.
Yes, 100%.
Right.
It's illegal. So, he could. I mean, the consequences would be enormous for him to actually say something off the record. Like, people don't get that. They can't do it.
Right.
And a lot of those guys are paid. Like the defense brought in this guy Werner Spitz, who defended this animal predation. It's a huge part of this case. And I'll show a video about the animal predation stuff. But it didn't take into account the fact that there's had blunt force trauma, according to Peretti. Like, somebody got hit hard with a stick in the back of their head where it cracked their skull. And I don't want to see a turtle have the capacity to crack somebody's skull.
Right.
Like, how did this? Okay. So maybe there are scratches or a turtle or whatever. And it also, like, the medical examiner found that one of the boys bled out before he was put in the water, which means that the turtle would have had to have come out of the water and attacked him and let him out at some point where the kid couldn't get away. And then he got put in the water by the turtle. Like, these don't add up. The animal predation, anybody who proffers this animal predation is either stupid or lying to you. There's just no question about it.
Well, and it was in a section of runoff where, water life isn't a thing. Like this is an area where the water is not constant. This is a spillway, I believe. And so to believe that there's aquatic life there constantly, not to mention a turtle, a large enough one to be able to do this, is also insane.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't hold water, guys. I'm sorry, but like, when they go that direction, if they're a commentator or a podcaster or true crime expert, and there's a lot of really lousy experts out there too, people that call them experts that are really, I don't want to name names, but like Jennifer Coffendaff or Daffy or whatever her name is.
Right.
Like, ooh, you need to find a new job, baby, because you are not good. Anyway, I mean, I can watch these celebrity videos all day. This is how they do it in big events, whether it's COVID or Kirk. Is this continued kind of propaganda, but evidence of collusion and coordination. They're saying the same thing. So somehow they got the same message, or somebody at the PR firm said, this is our talking points. Say he was convicted for a crime he didn't commit.
I'm very interested in what's happening with the West Memphis Three, who are 3 young men who were wrongfully imprisoned now for almost 17 years going on. I mean, 16 years, it's really horrible. And basically they're in prison because they dyed their hair black and listened to Metallica. And I mean, it's really this sort of very, very sickening way that the justice system refuses to acknowledge its mistakes, and our courts are so slow to correct their mistakes, and there's the lives of these young men which have been ruined. They've really spent more time in prison than they have alive, and so I just it's a cause that I'm working on, that I'm thinking about a lot. I visited them in Arkansas in prison, and I saw the conditions that they lived in, and it was really heartbreaking. I mean, I'm not trying to condone murder, of course, but you want to get the murderer, that you get the person that did it. You can't just blame people who you think did it because you want to send a message out to kids to conform, which is, I think, what they were trying to do, and so it's very upsetting.
Why haven't they found somebody else who's the alternate subject? They keep switching between the parents. They switch between Hobbs and Byers, but like, why isn't there credible evidence that puts them? Why did the police catch them? Hobbs and Byers are right there. They never left town. They never did anything. They're just trying to. They're in the court. Like, they literally were in the court for the proceedings of these guys getting convicted. Why didn't they just cops go Let's get him. He's right in the front row. You
Right.
know, like in 1993 and 94. It doesn't make any sense. These guys, you can't believe this animal predation with the stepfather stuff. There's Winona Ryder, West Memphis Three information. He's taking pictures with all these supporters too. It's really gross. Here's another one. Let's see. Let's do the Eddie Vedder one. I think Eddie Vedder, in my opinion, I'm not really sure, but I think he might have been duped. He doesn't seem like a real rocket scientist, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
I had no idea that 17 years later we'd even be at this point, but certainly had no idea that it would have taken this long. But we are in a good spot now, and we've got evidence that, even in the last 2-3 years, that we believe will exonerate these kids, and we're just asking, we're doing this kind of thing now just to bring notoriety back to the case and really impress upon the Arkansas State Supreme Court that we get a fair trial and a good.
I think that's Depp on the stage with them. So that's Natalie Maines of the Dixie Chicks, Vedder.
Right.
I think Depp is two to our right, but two to the left of Vedder. And I don't know. I mean, this other woman, she's a trip. I forgot her name, but she's like used to be friends with Mapplethorpe. She has an interesting history. She's like a singer. Countercultural singer, I forgot her name.
Notoriety back to the case and really impress upon the Arkansas State Supreme Court that we get a fair trial and a good careful look at this evidence that has been this case that has been so carefully prepared.
It's exhausting, isn't it? It's unbelievable. Like, you can't even believe that this is happening.
I know.
Wow. Once you look at the evidence, you can't go back. Nobody goes from looking at the evidence to, I believe, the documentaries. They never go back. They go from the documentary to looking at all the evidence of the case, and they just stay there. I've never seen anybody go, wow, you know.
Right.
I looked at the evidence, and now I believe the documentaries. They're totally honest, and these celebrities are all right. You know, hey, I've literally not. This has been like 15 years for me. It's never changed. I love Eddie Vedder, by the way. It's such a sad thing because I love his music and stuff.
Right.
His voice. I don't know if I can make it through all that.
Community came to see the teenagers who stand accused of a crime that makes no sense.
Guilty when I first laid eyes on them.
Who could do such a thing? The three small boys.
Prosecutors portrayed 19-year-old Damien Echols as a murderous devil worshiper.
You begin to see inside Damien Echols. And you look inside there, and there's not a soul in there.
Couldn't be a worse capital murder ever committed in this state that I can be aware of.
Investigators say the suspects aren't the typical boys next door.
He's not the all-American boy.
Yeah, that's Depp.
Right. You know, this must have been done by somebody. Three young kids were initially lost to this, you know, horrific crime, and then 16 years later, you know, we've got this other injustice happening, and in the meantime, it seems like
that's Dennis Reardon all the way on the left. He was a great appellate attorney. He was like, they got the best. Like, they didn't get some kind of like third-rate drunk lawyer, you know.
Right.
They actually got a good lawyer, and he did a lot of work. Like, they got him. Joan Baez. No, I forgot the girl. She's like in the same vein of Joan Baez, that other woman. That's Echols' wife right there in the middle, and that's Natalie Maines.
Interesting.
There is somebody
I've never heard these people retract their kind of involvement, so I don't know like what happened, which is interesting. Like, I don't think you're going to hear it from Depp, but yeah. I mean, we can let's watch. This is a great. I love this one. This is the one like where if you know the case, you just like, this is such a preposterous thing. This woman who wrote West of, or like was the director of West of Memphis, talks about like prehistoric beasts rising up out of the ocean, and, like attacking the kids. Like, you cannot even believe they could only get away with it on The View. Like the total idiots who watch The View. It's not very nice. Oh, man.
All right.
We'll talk a little bit about your experience being in solitary. I want to let everyone know that your glasses are actually because you spent so long in solitary confinement.
That's what he says. That's Jeanine Pirro. Jeanine Pirro is like the head of like the federal DC prosecutor's office now. Crazy.
That the light is something that you're quite sensitive to.
Sunlight for almost a decade.
Okay.
That's not usually what we think of solitary confinement. That usually you went out into the yard for a while. That didn't happen?
No, that's only on TV. They say you're allowed out of your cell for an hour a day, but what that means is they take you out of your cell and put you in another cell.
Oh, I see.
I'm going to go over some of the details. In 1993, 3 8-year-old boys, as we heard, Christopher Byers, Stephen Branch, and Michael Moore were savagely murdered. You and your friend Jason Baldwin, along with an acquaintance, Jesse Miss Kelly, were arrested for this crime within days, I believe. What led initially the police to arrest the three of you?
A lot of it was just because we came from a really small, hardcore fundamentalist town where we did not fit in.
Okay.
Just the way we look.
You got to blame the Christians too, right? So the Christians are the problem.
Right.
The music their fault. Exactly. It automatically put a target on our backs.
And then the police actually labeled you as the ringleader, correct? As this group. How so?
I think it was mostly because I was the one the media chose to focus on. You know, you could obviously tell by looking at Jesse Miss Kelly that he was, you know, not highly functioning, so he wasn't that frightening. Jason Baldwin looked like a typical 16-year-old kid, so he wasn't that frightening. They thought I was the one that looked the most sensational, so I was the one they focused all the attention on.
In 1993, I mean, law enforcement was just learning about satanic cults, and they were attributing all of these, you know, murders that were unusual to satanic cults. They said that you, as the ringleader, were a member of a satanic cult. Were you?
No. You know, we were no more Satanists than the people they hung in Salem were Satanists.
Right, so it's like goes back to the way he's got these canned responses because Salem, but she asked that question according to my evidence, according to the O.T.O, which the O.T.O may now call them a satanic cult, but it was Crowley was the head of it. He was a member while he was in jail, and he gave their books. He gave his books to the local chapter in Arkansas of the O.T.O. So I don't know if he's still an O.T.O member, but he was one while he was in jail. Yeah.
Right.
So he's not being forthcoming here.
But they couldn't come up with another motive for this crime, so that's what they went with.
You know, it says the documentary suggests that the police forced Mr. Miss Kelly, who was mentally challenged, that they forced him to make a false confession and say that you organized the murders. So where were you that day? Did you organize the murders?
I was actually at home. You know, they had many people that could have told them where I was, people that I was on the phone with, people that were in the house with me.
Did they check your alibi?
Yeah, but they never called him in court. They never let him testify. I mean, even with Jesse Miss Kelly, the guy who was confessing, they have photos and logbooks showing him signing in to another place when the murders happened.
Even though Jesse ended up giving an admission, he never would testify against you guys, even though they said, we'll give you less time, we'll give you less time.
Right.
And were you friends?
I wasn't friends with Jesse, though I knew who he was. We were acquaintances. I would see him around the neighborhood. Jason Baldwin, the guy that I went to trial with, was my best friend.
When they were throwing all these so-called these lies at you, what did you do to defend yourself?
You can't do anything. You know, you have to keep in mind I'm barely more than a child myself. I'm 18 years old. I'm in a state of extreme shock and...
You're an adult. You're an adult. You're 18, bro. And he always had the shock and trauma thing going on. That was his excuse. He had this line he was always talking about.
Trauma, because I've had my entire world ripped apart, my entire life destroyed. And, you know, I had no experience with anything like that, so there wasn't much I could do.
Damien, in the clip that we saw, there was that shot of you smiling, which I think a lot of people remember. Some people were saying your behavior at the time involved smirking, seemed evil as they deemed it. When you look back, do you feel as though your behavior was evil at the time? Do you think it gave them any reason to believe that you did this?
Well,
right.
I think that it was taken out of context.
Sure.
Like that scene you just see with me looking out the back of the cop car smiling. I'm trying to reassure my family that I'm okay. They're standing in the back. But you don't see that. All you see is, you know, that little setting.
What's so incredible, in a death penalty case, there was no DNA of the three of you connecting you to anything at the crime scene. And interestingly enough, the DNA of one of the stepfathers in the actual ligature.
Yes.
And
no, what's not. This is a deception right there.
Yeah, 100%.
They found, the defense found a pair that was consistent with the step. That's what they keep saying in public.
Right.
Okay? And this is not, and my understanding is this has not been properly adjudicated in court. So this is just for PR. Piro's repeating something she should know better than.
Right.
She's just repeating PR stuff right here.
Well, and
it's embarrassing for her.
The DNA that they found that was supposedly related to the stepfather was DNA that is also shared with like 4.5 million other people.
Right.
So
it's mitochondrial DNA too, is my understanding too. So.
Right. And so it doesn't really mean much of anything. I mean, the boys could have picked that up anywhere because I believe they were at the buyer's house before they went off to Robin Hood Hills, and so they could have picked that up anywhere. It's secondary transfer.
No question. No question. It doesn't matter. So, well, let's say with 100% certainty, it was the DNA, it was the hair. What does that matter?
Right.
If it is, who cares? Like, does that mean it's hair? If my hair was found somewhere else, like, I don't know, fairly close, like it's in the same town, like, who cares if that's like Hobbs' hair? Doesn't mean squat. Nobody saw him there. People saw these guys, Dominique. I mean, they testified in court. The Hollingsworth said that they saw Dominique and Echols muddy near the crime scene at the time of the murders. Like
right.
They were seen
that was
relatively close.
That was LG's mom, right?
Yeah, yeah. And like they had grown up. Like she had like suckled Dominique since she was a baby or something weird. Like she had seen these people around for over 15 years.
Right.
So like there wasn't like a mistake. Like, oh, I know her. What's she doing out here with Echols? Who was known to be her girlfriend.
Even that admission that he wasn't friends with Jesse is just bullshit. Like, okay, maybe they weren't like the best of friends, but they did more than just hang out, or I knew him from the neighborhood. Right. Like they were seen together a lot beforehand.
Yeah. So weird, like they would play staves or like Druid stuff, and just a lot of like testimony, people seeing them were around in black, and
plus they would drink a lot and smoke dope, and
they were at that video after the murders and before they were arrested. When the cops went to the roller rink, they were in the same video together.
Right.
So he's in the same environment. Mescalli's playing pool, and Echols is talking to Dominique, I think, all in black.
Right.
Like what's weird is they're like hanging around the area. They didn't try to run off. Like they're doing what they normally did, like on a Friday night or something weird.
You have a confession of someone who won't testify against you.
And of course they don't know about Jesse Mescalli's 6 confessions, right?
Right.
He's constantly confessing. And all saying over the objection of his attorney. Like I call one over the objection of his attorney confession and the Bible confession. Because Fogelman gives him a Bible. He goes, yes, I'm swearing on this. And then his attorney, the one with his attorney is great because his attorney's like doing his job. He's like, Jesse, this is going to affect your, appeal. Shut up.
Right.
I want to tell the truth. Yeah, I'm highly recommending you be quiet. No. He keeps really wanting to. Jesse's like, if there's a good guy amongst these types, it's Jesse.
Right.
You're convicted not just of murder, but you're sentenced to death. I mean, death penalty cases should be super due process. Yes. I mean, what did you think when you were convicted and sentenced to death? There was no evidence.
You can't really think. I mean, when you're standing there in the courtroom, the only thing I can compare it to is if you've ever been beaten. You know, when you get punched in the head, it's like a bright flash of light and loud noises, and you're really disoriented. And it doesn't even always register as pain at first. Whenever you hear yourself, they sentenced me to death 3 times.
Gosh.
And whenever you hear them doing that, it's like being beat in the head repeatedly.
I know someone would ask how one would maintain any sense of hope, but many high-profile celebrities came to your defense. I mean, Johnny Depp, Pearl Jam's Eddie Vedder, Natalie Maines from the Dixie Chicks. Director Peter Jackson actually funded part of your defense. So what was your reaction when you realized that there was this support system out there trying to help you get out?
It makes you feel like you've got a fighting chance for once. You know, one individual can't.
When you realize
that a
there
picture
was
of him
this
and
support.
Jackson? Oh, there he is in the background. So these guys all came out in support and made public statements. Like, oh, yeah, I know they're innocent. So, like, who wouldn't believe them? It's so important from a PR perspective that seeing this court of public opinion and the rollouts of very influential, famous, rich people and how that they can shape public opinion together. It happened in COVID. The Charlie Kirk thing is really incredible, man, because I see the same type of stuff. The ignorance or the same kind of collusion or coordinated statements. Like, for a crime he didn't commit, same thing. I just believe the story of what the government's doing. Like, they're doing that, like Megyn Kelly and some of these other people. Like, the story's unbelievable, dude. It's a fairy tale.
Right.
I can't believe that's her. How can? But you can say that in public to cover your ass.
Right. And then they say these things, and the public trusts them for some reason, and then they never even look into it. It's like, oh, well, Peter Jackson said that they're innocent. Johnny Depp, I love his movies, so he believes it, then obviously it must be true. There's no reason he would lie to us, right?
Right. And I think that the celebrity power is diminishing. Along with Hollywood,
right?
This kind of like adulation of stars and celebrities is really declining. I think that's a good thing. But yeah, they used 100%. Like going to a celebrity for opinions on anything couldn't be a dumber thing.
System out there.
Right.
It makes you feel like you've got a fighting chance for once. You know, one individual can't really fight the state. It's like an insect trying to fight a steamroller. So it makes you feel that finally, you know, you do have some sort of hope, but at the same time, you know, on a daily basis, you're just trying to survive life in prison.
This next one is really one of my favorite videos of the whole thing, where the prehistoric beast rises up out of the dark. Like this, like for anybody, I can't believe people would believe this, because like for me, it's just so obvious. Like this is just complete, like, super fantasy land. Like, wow, this just makes no sense. This is part 2.
We're back with one of the West Memphis Three, Damien Echols, and we're joined by the woman he married on death row, Lori Davis, and the director of the documentary West of Memphis, Amy Bird. Welcome, Lori and Amy.
Thank you.
Now, Lori, before you met Damien, you were living a normal life. You lived in Brooklyn and Park Slope. You were an architect, a landscape architect. I mean, you were doing what regular, normal people do. How in the world did you end up marrying a man on death row?
It's a long story. I saw Paradise Lost, the first documentary. It screened at MoMA in 1996, and it just hit me like a freight train. The story, the injustice, everything about it. I was raised in the South, so I understood the culture, and I understood what it was like to be a little bit different in my community. So I just felt an affinity for Damien, and I reached out to him, wrote him a letter, sent him some books, and then from there on out, it was just.
So how did your family take that you were communicating with a guy on death row?
Well, I waited for 4 years to tell them.
Smart. But what you did was you actually picked up and moved to Arkansas so you could be near him while he was on death row. Now, as a judge, I would marry some people before they went to prison, before one of them went to prison, but they usually kind of knew each other, had a little physical contact. That didn't happen. You made the move, you were all in before you actually no physical contact.
What happened there?
That's nuts.
You know, I just kept instinctually taking the next step. And Damien is an extraordinary person. And we had corresponded, a great deal of correspondence. I think
that
we had
I'll
5,000
agree with.
letters
He is
between
extraordinary.
the two of us by this point. But wrote to each other, talked to each other a great deal. And of course, I had to study up on the case and learn everything about it. But I just knew that he was extraordinary, and I was never going to find anyone like him again, and I was just in it from the beginning.
Now, Amy, a lot of celebrities came to Damien's defense, a ton of them. But what eventually led to him being freed?
Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was the celebrities, actually, their involvement was a plus in so many ways behind the scenes. But down in Arkansas, celebrity support is just, it's not a good thing. It's Hollywood and it's not true. So really, when Dennis Reardon took this case to the Supreme Court and he challenged the DNA statute in the state of Arkansas, there was this palpable shift, and suddenly everyone was able to kind of come out and support Damien publicly, support all three of the guys publicly, and everything started to move from there, and they were granted a new trial, but then all the delays set in, as you know.
What's amazing is that there was absolutely no DNA evidence. But one of the things, Amy, that you talked about and brought out was this thing about turtles. Why don't you tell us?
Well, these guys were convicted based on the autopsy photos. They were convicted based on the satanic nature of these crimes. But if you actually do research, we worked with many forensics experts and spoke to everyone, and they unanimously said that these were not stab wounds. There was no depth to any of the wounds. These were just scratch marks. So basically, they were being judged on something that had nothing to do with the crime. And you have to basically start from the beginning at that.
Not all experts said that, by the way. There were experts, the actual in-court aspect. The autopsies were done with two people, and they both validated each other's stuff, you know. Injuries, skull fractures, stab wounds. One guy had some stab wounds to his face that were deep. I mean, the autopsy pictures are super graphic, but you can see them. They're on there. They're online, I think.
Point and look at the post-mortem activity, and that's ultimately.
But you talked about the turtle snappers, that the post-mortem injuries, the animal predation.
Right, and where the bodies were found was in a bayou right in West Memphis, and there were snapping turtles. I don't know if you know about snapping turtles. I didn't when I went down there. They're 110 pounds. They're like prehistoric beasts, and
couldn't have lived where they were found.
And they migrate towards corpses. So it became
110-pound prehistoric beast. Do you know how big that is, man?
Right.
Do you know how big a 110-pound turtle has to be?
Right.
I mean, it has to be like 3 feet long. It's just like the size of a big dog. That's
right.
Huge. This is just complete preposterous nonsense, and they're not even questioning it on like The View. Like they should go. I've never heard of a snapping turtle that big, 110 pounds.
Right.
We're overstating it.
Something that seemed very obvious.
Nobody brought that up
that's
at all.
larger than an 8-year-old.
You know? Right. I don't think kids are over 100 pounds, right? So it's bigger than the kids.
Examiner in Arkansas actually is a turtle expert, and he breeds his own snapping turtles. I don't know why this never went anywhere, but nobody really.
It never went anywhere because it's a total fairy tale. That's why.
Right.
This is
it's
like
a total farce.
This is so profound. Like the book author is omitting stuff. She's the author of the documentary. She's the director of the documentary West of Memphis, which like leaves it up vague. Like people could easily be fooled. I mean, why would they choose? Like one of the things, why would the public think that there would be deception on something called the document? You're supposed to document stuff, right?
Right.
So why would they think anything different, that there was something deceptive or malign or sinister about it? There really is. There really is about all these media creations.
What's interesting, I mean, this is almost like a story as old as time too, because this is like liberal elitism coming down upon this story in middle flyover America. And it's this is all liberal California elitism or Hollywood elitism, you know, that's just like anything outside of the big city. Well, that's just a bunch of backwoods. It's a flyover state. You know, all of these people are like this. You know, it's the Christians. They're in the Satanic Panic mode. They're blaming everything on Satan. And it's like, what? No, this is absurd.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's one component of this whole thing that is interesting is the kind of coastal elite, you know, looking at the great unwashed and demeaning it and looking at this through their own kind of like stereotypical lens, I think.
Right.
Really, like this guy's an obvious occultist. There's just absolutely no question about it. He is an acknowledged occultist. He could not deny it. And leaving this out of this stuff is crazy. I mean, you can just look at his tats, man. They're just like totally crazy.
Right.
I mean, And just like, well, I have so many videos like this. Have you ever seen the one? I have one with him on Piers Morgan where like they're literally making like Illuminati hand signs of silence, like keep your mouth shut. It's unbelievable. And like Piers Morgan looks at Echols, he says, they've called you like a pale, you know, Satanist and you're, you know, evil and blah, blah, blah. But I don't see that. And he's literally sitting right across from Piers Morgan. Like you cannot, let me see if I can find the Piers Morgan one.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Because I'm looking at him and I'm like, that's what he looks like to me. Look at those tats.
Right.
Oh, here it is. Here we go.
Somebody asked in the chat real quick if there is a occultist meaning to the tortoise shell. And yeah, of course there is. Real quick, so the tortoise is a part of your mythos. You may you know, believe in certain things like slow and steady wins the race, true strength comes from within, the journey is as important as the destination, fear of being left behind, losing your sense of security, you know, you believe in a strength, resilience, patience, inner wisdom, like all of these things. It's also like, in at least in modern symbolism, represents like quiet strength, steadfastness, which is kind of the point of the propaganda, right? It's like if we just stick to this story and we just keep repeating it, then eventually this is going to be the truth. And this is like exactly what has happened with the propaganda, is they have not budged from this story. Just like William was saying, you know, they were convicted of a crime they did not commit. And that's the story, and they're sticking to it. And in fact, I think the direction in which they have moved, you know, since this has been the story is not only that, but they definitely didn't commit it, and they're going to clear their name, which seems to be at least what they're pushing now. It's not just so much that they were able to get out on an Alfred plea, which never happens. Like this is not a very common thing at all. And it's not just enough that they can get out, but they've got to make sure and clear their name. Although this DNA testing has kind of backfired on them. From my understanding, back in 2011, the DNA testing results that came out in 2011 actually kind of proved the opposite. There was a lot more DNA connections to Damien than there were previously found, which is the whole reason they've been able to keep those records secret. Let's see. Let's pull this up.
Let me see. I have that's the picture. Let's see. Here's the Piers Morgan. No, here it is.
It's ridiculous. Got the same tattoo Damien.
Yeah, that's it.
Depp
On the right.
has. Yeah. Wow.
I'm gonna put this in the chat. And then maybe you could do this. It's new. And you can bring that up and play it. You have to put it onto you have to put it on your tab and then open it. Do you know how to play YouTube stuff?
Yeah, oh yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Okay.
Here's where he does it right away.
When did you see daylight?
This is a sign of silence
I haven't
right there.
seen daylight in
He's doing the
a
hand
decade.
gestures.
I hadn't been exposed to sunlight.
In 10 years?
For almost 10 years, yes.
What are you thinking throughout this period? I mean, this is, for an innocent man, there's
He
many
looks like
believe
shit.
that you are, and you've always protested this. What are you thinking when you're stuck in there?
The only thing you can do and maintain your sanity is to not think about the case and not think about what's happening to you. You have to sort of immerse yourself into a routine and never deviate from that routine. You know, work out your own exercise regimen, work out a meditation regimen, start some sort of practice, whether it be artwork, writing.
That is something kind of interesting. The meditation was actually a big part of what people were talking about during the trial, and even in Exhibit 500, people, doctors and nurses and everything, had noticed the very what was the phrasing they used? The very unusual ways in which Damien would meditate, which I thought was a really interesting note in all of his medical history. Unusual meditation, odd meditation. It's like, what do you even say about that? So him mentioning this right here, I think that is incredibly interesting.
Whatever it is, you have to create your own world in there, or you'll go insane from that stuff.
I don't know how you keep your sanity.
You don't have a choice. You know, it's not like you can get up one day and say, you know, I quit, I'm tired of this, I'm going home. You just do whatever it takes to keep putting one foot in front of the other and get to the next day.
What effect did it have on your health?
My health, there's almost no medical care, no dental care, things like that in prison. So my health was deteriorating very rapidly. I've lost a great deal of my eyesight. Whenever you're in a confined space, you never get a chance to see anything far away, so you gradually lose the ability to. So I started losing my ability to see anything further than a few inches away from me, and I was extremely light sensitive due to the fact of not having seen sunlight.
Yeah, but that first moment you came out, what was it like to have daylight again?
It was.
Do you know where that lie came from? Because I've seen pictures of his cell and there were windows. So
he just, none of his stuff is really that true. I mean,
right.
It's just like, oh, I'm suffering. His teeth were falling out at one point. He did this one where like my teeth were about to fall out. Like
right.
He just reached the point near the end. It's very dramatic. He survived in there for 17 years, but then right at the end, he's about to go down. You know, I think he's just playing up his victimhood. That's kind of it. That's a sign of silence, dude. He's doing that all the time. I don't know if this next YouTube video has the one where Piers Morgan's like, you don't look like a serial killer to me. Oh yeah, here it does. Play the other one. It's great.
Real for you to see these people doing this.
Well, it's very uplifting, because when you have people in these positions, they're kind of like leaders of the people. You know, we raise these people up in positions because they have a talent. They give something back to the community. So when they take on a cause that they feel is very important, that should be signs to the rest of us, hey, this is something worthwhile, worth fighting for. So for us on the inside, it was amazing, and it let,
how did you feel?
Other people know it was okay.
This guy here, sitting next to you, you know, you come across to me, I've never met you before in my life, but you come across to me as somebody grounded, intelligent, eloquent, not the things you would associate with the portrayal of you in your court case, of this devil-worshipping, satanic, occult-obsessed, you know, weirdo, dangerous maniac who could be capable of killing.
No, that's exactly what I
young children.
envision.
You knew
like,
him
why
very
is
well.
Piers
You were his
Morgan
best
saying
friend at
that?
the time.
Right.
That's the other thing.
Put
Is
yourself
why is
aside for
Morgan
one moment
saying
when
that?
you saw him described as this evil ringleader of mass murder. What were you thinking?
It's an incredible statement.
Just had it wrong. They didn't know him, you know. Like in high school, his mom fixed him lunches to carry to school in paper bags, you know. And even then, with the high school.
Why is Jesse speaking for him?
It's just part of the grand deception, man.
Right?
I mean, this is a cash cow. I don't know where the $20 million, how it was apportioned, where the money went around, but these guys are able to travel. I don't know really what happened to everything, but it's
right.
It's really there's mysteries.
I mean, like I was telling you before we began, it seems to me that Jesse is like obsessed with Damien. Like he is just like a puppy, you know. I'm not even sure how else to describe it, but it's like he is just obsessed with Damien. And so him speaking on Damien's behalf while he just sits there all dark and brooding, you know,
Making the
Just
sign of
speaks to
silence
that.
like he's doing it. You can see it. I have an article on called
Right.
Damien Echols and the Sign of Silence. These are hand gestures. These guys do this stuff. Depp does the
Right.
thumb. You know what the thumb on the chin one does? This means like in the Masons, you're part of the group.
Right.
You know, you're initiated and you're on.
Right.
These guys all do the hand across the chest. They all do the Masonic hand signs.
Right. And that's just so strange.
Watch
Piers,
the
they joke, they
replay
go,
that again.
"Well,
It's
what you got in the
unbelievable
bag,
what
Damien?
Piers
A
says
cat?"
there. Like how this, it's just part of the global. In my opinion, it's part of the global cult. Like these guys are
Right.
They know to communicate beyond the surface. They either are Masons or something's going on where they're coordinated. It has to
Had
be
it wrong. They didn't know him, you know. Like in high school, his mom fixed him.
Of this devil-worshipping, satanic, occult-obsessed, weirdo, dangerous maniac who could be capable of killing 3 young children.
Why couldn't
you
he
knew him
be?
very well. You were his best friend at the time. Put yourself aside for one moment. When you saw him described as this evil ringleader of mass murder, what were you thinking?
I knew everyone just had it wrong. They didn't know him, you know. Like in high school, his mom fixed him lunches to carry to school in paper bags, you know.
See, they're
And
just
even
like
with
everybody
the high
else,
school kids, they joked,
Apparently,
like, well, what you got in the bag, Damien? A cat? And he
Jason Baldwin's mom would like at the trailer. She would disappear for a couple days, like she'd just be
Right.
gone, and apparently does not in great mental health, much like Eccles' mom. So these two are tied together by moms who are not really high functioning people.
Right.
There's no question about it. I mean, I would call them low functioning. It's not a nice thing to say, but
Well, it is true though. And I mean, from what I understand of that area, like you were saying, lower middle class, living in lots of trailer parks, and not to say anything about trailer parks because that doesn't automatically mean something, but in some, it does. And I think particularly West Memphis is kind of a low income area. Lots of people are on welfare, lots of drug abuse, alcohol abuse, domestic violence is through the roof in parts of in parts of these counties. And so the Hollywood portrayal, I think that's why it's so believable, because there is some truth to this. And
my understanding is West Memphis was half black too, and it's never even brought up that there's a lot of African Americans around there. It's always portrayed
Right.
as like this white thing, but it's not. It's poor, a lot of poor people, a lot of underprivileged African Americans as well.
Right.
And that's like the Bojangles guy was a black guy. That's
Right.
like,
Right. The Bojangles guy that was never even really investigated. The cop never even got out of their car.
yeah, and then they went back and got the blood, and then the blood disappears out of the police department.
Right.
Like it's like something from True Detective. Like, where's that? I would say that if somebody was in a bathroom at the night of a major murder and is in there and human excrement and blood is left in there, and he's in there for a long period of time, and 3 kids turned up graphically, really viciously murdered, I'd say that you'd save that evidence, whatever it is, because something really dark happened on May 5th,
Right.
1993, and that disappeared. And that Bojangles guy, like there were weird things that happened that night. There was a report in the police files. I remember somebody on that night got in a cab and gave the cabbie like $100 and said, just drive me. And he drove him like 300 miles or something out
Right.
of West Memphis. Like that's weird too.
Right.
Like there's
Well,
weird
and
things going on.
there-
And these
there's
guys are
also,
weird. They had this black briefcase they had with stuff in it. Like they carried a briefcase around.
Right.
I mean, just like really heavy, dark things.
Well, and there's the hitchhiker, the clean hitchhiker, that got picked up near Robin Hood Hills, and somebody had mentioned it, but they didn't realize that it might have possibly been connected because they didn't know about the murders at the time. This person didn't want to talk about who they were, but they were leaving that area, right at the perfect time. And one thing I don't think people quite understand is how many people the police actually investigated. Because they say that, oh, they were just targeting these boys, and it's like, no, they went and interviewed everyone they possibly could. They were going up and down all over the place. I mean, they even interviewed two of those young men that left West Memphis that night.
That's right.
That lived in California,
San Diego. Yeah.
Right. So
those were alternate suspects. They were always people who were trying to like move away from these guys. I've always thought, and it's my opinion, I don't have any evidence, but I think there were other people there. I don't think it was just 3 of them. And I think that really Jesse Miss Kelly wanted to get the ringleaders, and he got these 2. But I think he let other people go. That's how dark it is. I think it's even worse than that. Yeah.
Right.
Because the Bojangles thing is really an anomaly. It's very close to the scene of the crime. The truck stop, or was the Blue Beacon truck stop, was right there. It's not far away. It's probably within 100 yards.
Yeah.
And something strange. Somebody just comes out at the same time. It would muddy or whatever, and human excrement and blood, and locks themselves in the bathroom, and nobody knows what the heck's going on. That's weird.
Right.
And these guys are, like you said, the police did all these investigations. There's literally a card in the police files of like other cult members. Like they have the names listed. Who else is in this group? And they talked about Stonehenge. And that's part of like what Jesse's confession is. Super dark. Killing dogs and eating them. You know?
Right.
With the groups. Like there's these crazy dark things are happening, but then it's only these 3 guys, but there's other people at Stonehenge hanging out.
Right.
And these guys are networked. We know Echols would travel across the bridge and meet with this older guy whose name was like really weird. And then there was a hidden, it's the statement of can't remember. It's been so long. But there's another statement that there's a guy like these guys looked up to a dude they called Lucifer.
Right. Well, and there was the discussion of an actual like large cult that was taking place kind of all over the place, usually under like railroad bridges or something. They'd be drinking, and then there was like cult initiation rituals, and that was part of the dog eating and stuff. And apparently this was like way more widespread
in that environment. People said they saw people go into Robin Hood Hills. They said there was chanting in Robin Hood Hills. There were people with masks. There were babies baby whatever's like hanging, not actual babies, but like, stuffed animals and stuff like that hanging up in weird places. Like there were markings on trees. There's all kinds of different reports of people like that. And in that area. So it's just it's in the court records. You got to see it. Like the statement, it's Alvin Clem Byers or something. Alvis Clem, like his statement's incredible because it's like talking about pedophilia. Like I think he's busted for pedophilia. So it's like True Detective.
Right.
He's busted for pedophilia. He's telling people about this crazy dragon book. He's talking about the network, the Lucifer guy. And
one of the alternative suspects, if I'm remembering correctly, actually lived within sight distance of Robin Hood Hills, and he was one of the first people interviewed who was actually a on record pedophile, and he knew details of the crime when he was first interviewed before the media had even released anything. I mean, this is like the next
Detective.
day.
It's like True Detective.
Right.
And these guys, there were other people from churches saying that the host would be stolen.
Right.
Like there's like weird stories about this. And then Echols is going to church at one point for some strange reason, but he's also like a committed occultist who burned down according to one statement, burned down a trailer and prayed in the ashes or chanted or did something in the ashes.
Right.
Like you said, he was doing weird meditations and stuff like that.
Right.
Like guys, the court records are, some of that stuff's like some isn't, but like the statements that didn't make it to court, there's enough evidence to convict him, but like some of the stuff that didn't make it to court is like crazy. Like, wow.
Yeah. And Exhibit 500 is filled full of that. I mean, just kind of who he is as a person is just amazing.
I will read from this individual progress report from Exhibit 500. This is January 25th, 93. So it's about 4 or 5 months before the crime. And it goes, quote, focus of today's session spent talking with Damien about his feelings of death. He brought with him to a session a poem he had written during the past week. The theme of this poem centered around death and power. Damien explained that he obtained his power by drinking blood of others. He typically drinks the blood of a sexual partner or a ruling partner. This is achieved by biting or cutting. He states it makes him feel like a god. Damien describes drinking blood as giving him more power and strength. He remembers doing this as far back as age 10. He does not remember where he learned to do this, so there's amnesia. Yeah, I mean, these are different mental states, guys. Damien believed there's no God. He feels that society believed there is a God because society is weak. He very much wants to be all-powerful. He wants very much to be in total control. He discussed how some of this is related to his experiences as a child. He acknowledges that some of this is related to his childhood abuse trauma issues. So it's traumatic child rearing, SRA type stuff. But he feels that is who he is now. Damien relates that there's a spirit now living with him. The spirit was put inside him last year. Indicate that a month ago, the spirit decided to become a part of him and that he had to become part of the spirit. The report is a spirit of a woman who was killed by her husband. When questioned about how he feels with the spirit or what the difference is, Damien is able to relate that he feels stronger and more powerful with the spirit. He has not seen the spirit, but he does have the spirit. In addition, he also reports conversations with demons and other spirits. This is achieved through ritual. He denies that he is satanic, seeing himself more as being involved in demonology. I don't know what that means. It becomes more noticeable today in talking with Damien that he has many things from his childhood that he simply does not remember. This is believed to be a dissociative response to trauma issues. It's all there, man. It's like the mind control weird stuff. Like you dissociate during trauma.
So one thing I wanted to bring up, I thought you would find this interesting, is within the 9 satanic sins of by Anton LaVey. This is from the Church of Satan itself. So these are like, you know, the 10 commandments basically, but these are, you know, the 9 satanic sins. So this is like, if you violate these are, it's just a big no-no as a Satanist. And so number 1 is stupidity. Top of the list for satanic sins, the cardinal sin of Satanism. It's too bad that stupidity isn't painful. Ignorance is one thing, but our society thrives increasingly on stupidity. It depends on people going along with whatever they're told. The media promotes cultivated stupidity as a posture that is not only acceptable, but laudable. Satanists must learn to see through the tricks and cannot afford to be stupid. And then, oddly enough, number 2 is pretentiousness, which Satanists are the most pretentious, and you can see this in Damien. But this is also why he keeps mentioning stupidity as like, because he mentions it several times that people are just stupid, people are sheep, and all of these things.
Right. Wolves eat sheep, right? He's a wolf.
Right.
He eats sheep.
Yeah. Real quick, so we can finish this list out. Solipsism is number 3. Self-deceit, number 4. Number 5, herd conformity. Number 6, lack of perspective. Number 7, forgetfulness of past orthodoxies. Number 8, counterproductive pride. And number 9, lack of aesthetics. And if you apply these to Damien, he's got all of them. He's got all of them, and that's exactly how he's living.
Yeah, it's really something else. Pull up this Piers Morgan video. This will trip you out. This is where Conan O'Brien kind of accuses him of having some kind of like secret room.
Oh, interesting.
Turns out it's not even a spa.
Watch this.
And then the endowed thing would be great if we could just slip that in.
So you make people laugh, you're well endowed, and you've got ginger hair.
Yes.
It's not a bad triumvirate to be remembered by.
I think in a way, and the fact that you've just verified it as a journalist, that those 3 are all true. And you would know, you've seen me. We often go to the spa together.
Not now, yeah?
All right.
Come on.
We often go to the spa together.
Not now, yeah?
All right.
Come on.
It was your idea.
This is a terrible
It was
idea.
your idea
This is really
to
uncomfortable.
go to the spa.
This is uncomfortable.
It was your spa.
Let's get to the...
I thought it's a weird place. It's not. Turns out it's not even a spa.
Let's get to the
It's a
Conan
room.
plug.
It's a creepy room he has.
You're not going to get your plug if this carries on.
It's not. Turns out it's not even a spa.
Let's get to the
It's a
Conan
room.
plug.
It's a creepy room he has.
You're not going to get your plug if this carries on.
When you get into a secret society of spirit worshippers.
Freemasons. It is a... Yeah, so like, it's like he has some kind of weird secret room.
Right.
Where it seems like he's kind of ribbing Conan, and this is the way Conan gets back at him, is to reveal
Right.
his secret room. Like, oh, you're a ginger or whatever. It's like,
Right.
why to try and pirate you got? Well, you got
Yeah.
a secret room, you prick.
Yeah, watch yourself. I know shit too.
Right. That's
Yeah.
like the whole thing is they're all blackmailing each other. They've got dirt on everybody. It's
Right.
so sick, man. The culture
Right.
is just gone, baby. I don't know. We're at the 2-hour mark, dude.
Right. Yeah.
This will be like literally I have streamed for 6 total hours today. That's crazy.
Oh, jeez. Well, I did want to wrap up here. I think this is kind of a good thing to end on. But one thing I did want to bring up, and I think this is a good place to end with this for today. But this, let's see here. The new judge orders the DNA testing of West Memphis Three evidence. For anyone who doesn't know, this actually just, came out not that long ago. So this says June 26, 2025. So this is one of the older articles, but a lot of the reporting on this actually came out in August. Let's see.
Yeah, it's never going to end.
A judge ordered DNA testing of evidence connected with the West Memphis Three murders. Second Judicial Circuit Judge Tanya Alexander signed the agreed-upon order for evidence to be released to an insured and bonded courier. Evidence will then be taken to Bodie Labs for testing using current scientifically appropriate DNA testing methods and current laboratory testing protocols.
Hey, Juan.
Officer Bishop with the Tampa Police.
Okay, so what's kind of your take on this?
It's just like they're just manipulating the system and like chaos magic type stuff. Like,
Right.
come on, it's old. This has already been tried. You've been convicted twice. You said you never sued the state civilly. You wrote that with the best attorneys back in 2011. This is all for public consumption, in my opinion. And it's just like never going to end. I think it may be like kind of like the, what is it called? Like the duper's delight kind of type thing, like rubbing it in your face.
Right.
Like we can just keep telling this thing because there's going to be no consequences. And there's a whole new suite of journalists, quote, journalists, unquote, who will run these stories. Like, who cares if it's Hobbes's hair? That doesn't mean squat. That doesn't, nobody's convicted anybody on a hair being found at a crime scene.
Right.
Therefore, you did it. Like, give me a break. Come on, think through it. So you have to actually think. Once you think through it, it doesn't hold up to rational scrutiny. And then you have to ask yourself, why doesn't it hold up to rational scrutiny? People have lost their critical analytical skills because it's so. If you think through it, it's like it's transparent that it's baloney. So all this stuff is, it's exhausting. It's just a total joke.
I agree, and I think it's kind of interesting as well because of the last time they did this in 2011, and they kept the results private. What the hell is that? So
that's the whole thing. Like, why doesn't the third party look at everything they've got? Come on, let's put the third party analysis out there or whatever. It's just like I don't know why the new set of journalists falls. That somebody must tell them to go cover the story, and they just go out like zombies and go do it. Because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Just it's not making sense.
Well, I think this is a perfect place to end it. So I would like to thank you so much, William, for joining me for this. I definitely want to get you back. I think there's some interesting specifics I want to go over with you. And I would really like, even if we did a shorter third part, I would really like to tackle Paradise Lost, the documentaries themselves. Because I think those are just so, from a propaganda standpoint, honestly, they're beautiful, it is grade A propaganda. But I believe this is the biggest reason why people have the opinion of them, not to mention the celebrity worship that comes along with it and everything. But I believe the documentaries, without that, we probably would not be talking about this case.
I think you're right. The second and third ones really did it. I think those really
Right.
changed public perception. Those were kind of like the acorns, the seedlings of this kind of innocence. We're innocent phenomenon. This case is really incredible in so many ways. It's not just the overlooking of the Satanism of the celebrities, but the collusion and the PR campaign, the battle in the court of public opinion, and the battle for the culture. Really, it's really because the certain people decided that they were going to go with the phony story and put it out. And I think that the whole this is not alone. There's so many other fake documentaries, whether it's about making a murder, which was totally baloney. Like they try to make that guy look innocent. There was also Serial, which made this guy who killed his girlfriend look innocent, which that's fake too, in my opinion. There's so many. I've done a lot of shows on that, so people can go check it out. They can just go through my list. Look for the stuff by I highly recommend. What's her name? Roberta Glass and True Crime Report, and all her work and the work she's done with me. She was the one who kind of helped me work through a lot of the stuff and think through it, but also go to her site because she does a great job on some of the, like the Central Park 5 is another innocence fraud case. There's so many, and they paid out like millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars on a lie, and these guys all convicted. They all said they did it on recorded video. So like the story changes over time when people see that they can make some money off the stuff, and the hustle and the grift is just off the charts. And that's part of, for me, that's part of the West Memphis Three, in my opinion, is like there's a huge amount of money that gets put into that. $10 or $20 million is not chump change. Where'd that money go? There's never been an accounting for that, is my understanding.
Right.
But yeah, you can have me back. I mean, guys, I've done so many videos. You can go to my YouTube channels, which are back. Look at the stuff that I did 10 years ago. Like I've just gone over and over the secret phone calls, the case records, the other videos of other kids being interviewed by the cops, which were kept, where they're like implicating, Miss Kelly. And there's just so many statements that didn't make it into the court record that if you can see, like, there's a lot of data that the West Memphis Three police who get a bad rap, you can just go back and look at it. So I have two accounts, one with 16,000 subs and another with 19. And there's just tons of information there from the old time. Like it magically appeared in October 1st, like a month ago.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up, that you were able to get one of your channels back, which
I got three back. I got three
you
back.
got all three.
Well, I have another one that's still not, they're not going to give me back, but I got 3 out of 4 back. I was so dumb. I just kept I never thought that I'd be censored on YouTube. I don't know what I said that was really that bad, but I was censored and I got them all back, and I'm actually getting revenue. And I put my podcasts on there too. So if you're really bored, you can listen to my podcast through YouTube. But yeah, it's really a change for me. So I'm starting to stream there, and it's a good place to find all my old videos on West Memphis Three. I've done a lot of work. It's not just the book. I'm also on Patreon, so you can listen to my stuff without ads on Patreon, and I have 5 documentaries on there, and you can check those out for $5 a month. It's cheap. And you can talk to me there. It's probably the best place to talk to me without having other people prying eyes or something. Just go to my Patreon. And I'll post up. People will request, hey, can you do that for me? Or post this so I can listen to it, and I'll do it. I'll put it up. Like I just posted 2 things today.
The book is Abomination. I highly recommend everyone watching this, whether you're watching it live or watching the replay, get yourself a copy. Once you have a hard copy in your hands, this cannot be censored. This cannot be taken away from you unless you allow it. And I totally understand why the what did you say? The Arkansas Supreme Court put this on.
Yeah, this is it right here. If you play this, this is the Arkansas Supreme Court right there. If you bring that picture up.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. There we go.
That's it. So that was from their website. I should have taken a screenshot of the whole page because the page changed over time. But there it is right there. Arkansas Legal Research, Abomination, and then a couple of John Grisham books.
Yeah, that's incredible. Good for you on that. That is one hell of an achievement. So definitely make sure and go check out everything. I will make sure all of William's links are down in the episode description. And on that note, if anybody would like to, support what I'm doing, some of the best places to do that, you can actually go over to Ko-Fi, which let's see, have that here. Should have had this pulled up beforehand. Let's see here. So you can actually head on over to Ko-Fi. Yep. There we go. You can head on over to Ko-Fi. You can go donate a one-time donation, or you can turn it into a monthly donation. You can also head on over to Buy Me a Coffee. That is always important because I need as much caffeine as possible to keep this show running. The more caffeine, the better I do. So keep that in mind. And then lastly, let's see here. Forgot to get all of this stuff pulled up beforehand, but make sure and head on over to risetoliberty.store, where you can go check out some of my newest merch. I'm actually getting ready to drop even a new design. But currently, I've got these designs. It's a cute little 1960s inspired mind control, Happy Sun. You can go check that out. I also have my newest design. You can get this actually in a hoodie. It says Rise to Liberty right on the front. Right on the back, it says mind control. If you find yourself slowly being isolated from your friends and family, that is a probable sign someone is trying to control your mind. It only goes up to 2x right now, but I'm actually getting larger sizes available, so that should be available next week. And so you can go pick that up. And then last but not least, let's see here. You can go check out all of my stuff over on Substack, which I highly recommend. Let's see if it actually pulls up. Come on now. I highly recommend going to check this out. It's the new post I did about the Charlie Kirk coverage for anyone who is unaware. This is all about unmasking the PSYOP. And although it is centered around Charlie Kirk, these PSYOP tactics can actually be applied to literally anything, because it's the same tactics over and over and over again. But go check that out. That is Beware the Mockingbird on Substack. And otherwise, you can find me Telegram, Instagram, X, and right here on YouTube, Rumble, all the podcatchers. And we will be getting William back again for another installment of this West Memphis 3 thing, because, I've got to hop on this. This is an important case, and hopefully you all learned something from this. So make sure and hit the like, go visit William, and any parting words.
Yeah, can I say one more thing? You open with the word culture, and I think that's kind of the overarching thing about this case is how it's influenced culture. And the West Memphis Three can't be seen through a PSYOP lens. I think it's the right word. Right. There's been some kind of sophisticated psychological operation against the American people on just the West Memphis Three. It's just one of the informational warfare that we've been, assaulted with for decades. So, but anyway, thanks for having me on. Great host. I had a great time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And looking very forward to the next. Everyone, on your way out, make sure to hit the like, share, all those wonderful things. Be on the lookout. I will, in the next day, possibly 2 days, will be working from this book. We will be going over the timeline, going through all the basics in detail. So make sure and look out for that. It will be happening soon. And until next time, stay free.